Today we will be discussing, rather revising the topic ammonia metabolism. In ammonia metabolism, how ammonia is formed, how is transported, stored, and detoxified in the body. That will be our focus. Any ammonia formed in the peripheral tissue must be removed to the by the liver to be converted into urea. This maintains ammonia at a low level in circulation or in circulating blood. Blood contains traces of ammonia 10 to 80 milligram 10 to 80 microgram per deciliter. What are the sources of ammonia? Number one source is transdeamination of amino acids. Many tissues, particularly liver, form ammonia from amino acids by transdeamination. The next is glutamine. Kidneys form ammonia from glutamine by the glutaminase enzyme. Most of this ammonia is used in the regulation of acid base balance by the kidney. Compounds like purines and pyrimidine, they also get metabolized, liberating ammonia. Various nitrogenous compounds, example neurotransmitters that act as neurotransmitters in intestine. Ammonia is produced by the action of intestinal bacteria enzyme on dietary amino acids and urea secreted into the intestine. These are the sources of ammonia. Now, what happens to this ammonia? That we will discuss under fate of ammonia. Formation of non-essential amino acids through transdeamination reactions. Then formation of urea in the is the main pathway by which the body can get rid of ammonia. Excretion of ammonia in the urine, then formation of glutamine. These are the fates of ammonia. Main fate of ammonia is formation of urea. Urea is the main end product of protein metabolism. Urea formation is the pathway through which the liver can convert toxic ammonia into non-toxic urea. Site of urea formation. The liver is the only site for urea formation. Then urea is transported by the blood to the kidneys. to be excreted in the urine. Urine urea is 20 to 40 grams per day. The other part is plasma urea. Plasma urea is about 20 to 50 milligram per deciliter. Diagnostic importance of plasma urea determination. Measurement of plasma urea is one of the kidney function tests. In kidney diseases, as in renal failure, kidney fails to excrete urea. Therefore, we see high levels of blood urea concentration. Now we will go to the reactions of urea formation. How urea is formed. The pathway by which urea is formed from carbon dioxide and ammonia is called as Krebs-Henseleit cycle. There are 5 reactions, out of which 2 reactions of Krebs-Henseleit cycle occur in mitochondria, whereas other remaining 3 reactions they occur in cytosol. Totally 6 amino acids share in urea cycle. Those are ornithine, citrulline, arginosuccinate, aspartate, and arginine. The last 6th amino acid is N-acetyl-glutamate, which does not take part directly in urea cycle but act as a regulator of the first enzyme of urea cycle, carbamyl phosphate synthetase. Carbamyl phosphate synthetase first is the enzyme which converts ammonia and carbon dioxide in presence of ATP into carbamyl phosphate. This enzyme is different than carbamyl phosphate synthetase 2, which is required in the synthesis of pyrimidine bases. Now, those 5 steps by which urea is formed from carbon dioxide and ammonia are: number 1, formation of carbamyl phosphate; number 2, formation of citrulline; number 3, formation of arginosuccinate; number 4, formation of arginosuccinate; and number 5, formation of arginine into ornithine and urea. Conversion, cleavage of arginine into ornithine and urea. This diagram shows the 5 steps of urea cycle. The first step is ammonia combines with carbon dioxide in presence of carbamyl phosphate synthase and gets converted into carbamyl phosphate. 2 ATP molecules are utilized, which are converted into 2 ADP plus Pi. This carbamyl phosphate form in mitochondria then reacts in with ornithine to give citrulline. This is also a mitochondrial reaction. This citrulline form then get diffused out of the mitochondria, and in cytosol it then interacts with aspartate, forming arginosuccinate. This is done by the enzyme arginosuccinate synthase. This arginosuccinate is then converted into arginine by giving away one fumarate molecule. That arginine is then hydrolyzed into urea and ornithine. That ornithine is recirculated. It goes to mitochondria and condenses this with carbamyl phosphate to form citrulline. So this is the cycle of urea formation. The carbamyl phosphate is converted into citrulline. Citrulline is converted into arginosuccinate. Arginosuccinate gives arginine. Arginine gives ornithine. Ornithine then gets again converted into citrulline. The side product fumarate formed from the arginosuccinate hydrolysis is then converted into oxaloacetate. It is first converted into malate, then malate to oxaloacetate. Then it is transaminated to give aspartate. This aspartate enters into the third step, that is, it aspartate reacts with citrulline to give arginosuccinate. This way, this reaction is complete. This next diagram shows the flow of nitrogen in the urea formation. That is, proteins, nitrogen containing compounds taken by diet are hydrolyzed to amino acids. Then these amino acids are converted into by several reactions with forming alpha ketoglutarate and arginosuccinate. They are converted into glutamate, glutamate to glutamine. This glutamine gives its amino group for the to arginine or aspartate. Then one molecule of ammonia formed from glutamate is taken for urea formation, and the respiratory carbon dioxide is utilized for. So these are the three compounds which contribute to the formation of urea. Carbon dioxide from carbamyl phosphate, carbon dioxide from the dietary source, then ammonia, then aspartate. All these together they form the urea molecule through one cycle of urea. This shows the flow of nitrogen from amino acids to urea. Nitrogen atoms of urea are derived from ammonia and aspartate. Carbon dioxide supply comes carbon of urea. The next is sources of different atoms. But we have seen now that urea is formed from one molecule of ammonia, one molecule of arginine, and one molecule of carbon dioxide. So the atoms comes from carbon atoms comes from CO2, nitrogen. First nitrogen atom comes from ammonia. Second nitrogen atom comes from aspartate. The overall reaction of urea cycle is aspartate plus ammonia is converted into carbon dioxide plus 3 ATP. Aspartate plus ammonia plus CO2 plus 2 ATP gives fumarate, urea plus 2 ATP plus 2 AMP plus 2 PI. Once urea is formed in liver from ammonia, carbon dioxide, and ATP, diffuses into the blood and it is taken to the systematic circulation. In patients with kidney failure, plasma urea levels are elevated. increase transfer of urea from blood in the intestine, increase ammonia synthesis, synthesis hyperammonemia. Number of intestinal bacteria responsible for the ammonia production. Thus, ammonia is formed in the liver and it is excreted in the kidney. This ammonia for urea formation is regulated. The regulation is done by the key enzyme of urea cycle, carbamyl phosphate synthase. It is active. Well, it is activated allosterically by acetyl N-acetyl glutamate and Mg ions and magnesium ions. N-acetyl glutamate synthesis is stimulated by high protein diet and amino acids, especially arginine. This will promote urea cycle. This will promote urea cycle. This diagram shows regulation of urea cycle. That is acetate this form from N-acetyl glutamate. Glutamate will combine with N-acetyl glutamate to give glutamate will form N-acetyl glutamate. This N-acetyl glutamate then combines with the enzyme carbamyl phosphate synthase to activate the enzyme. So it is hydrolysis of N-acetyl glutamate gives glutamate and acetylation of N-acetyl gives glutamate gives with acetyl CoA gives N-acetyl glutamate. Increased level of N-acetyl glutamate will increase the active concentration of carbamyl phosphate. There is one interesting relation between tricarboxylic acid cycle and urea cycle. Carbon dioxide needed for urea formation is mostly produced in TCA cycle. Fumarate produced in urea cycle can be oxidized in TCA cycle. Aspartate can give oxaloacetate and vice versa it by transamination. ATP required for urea formation cycle is derived from TCA cycle. So these reactions they interrelate urea cycle with that of TCA cycle. Then we have amino intoxication. Ammonia intoxication. Excess ammonia is toxic to the central nervous system. The condition is called ammonia intoxication or hyperammonemia. The hyperammonia signs of hyperammonemia or symptoms of ammonia intoxications are flapping tremors, slurring of speech, blurring of vision, and vomiting in infancy. High concentrations of ammonia may cause coma and death. Here the symptoms are given that we get hyperammonia gives coma, blurring of vision, slurring of speech, and vomiting in infancy, whereas flapping tremors and flapping tremors are the signs and symptoms of hyperammonemia. Types and causes of hyperammonemia. In general, we divide hyperammonemia into two types: acquired hyperammonemia and inherited hyperammonemia. Acquired hyperammonemia, liver cell failure, the liver cells cannot convert ammonia into urea. This becomes the cause of hyperammonemia. Second is renal failure. Shunt operation between portal and systematic circulation also results in increased ammonia level or cause hyperammonemia. Collateral between collaterals between portal and systematic circulation due to cirrhosis of liver by fibrosis, cirrhosis of liver in hepatitis etc. causes hyperammonemia. Inherited second group of hyperammonemia is the inherited diseases. Inherited hyperammonemia. They result from the genetic deficiency of in one of the five enzymes of urea cycle. Failure to synthesize urea causes the deficiency of that particular enzyme. Hyperammonemia during the first week after birth presents as mental retardation. Inherited hyperammonemia, the most common inherited enzyme deficiency are carbamyl phosphate synthesis first. Its result is what is called as hyperammonemia type 1. Ornithine transcarbamylase, it results in what is called as hyperammonemia type 2. Other enzyme deficiencies include citrullinemia due to deficiency of arginosuccinic acid synthetase and arginosuccinic aciduria due to deficiency of arginosuccinates, arginine succinic succinate, argino arginemia due to deficiency of arginase. We have discussed that due to hyperammonemia, ammonia toxicity, the symptoms are slurring of the speech, blurring of vision, vomiting, coma, flapping movements. In cases of hyperammonemia, ammonia reacts with only with glutamate, but also with alpha ketoglutarate by glutamine dehydrogenase enzyme. That is, this enzyme generally reacts with ammonia reacts with glutamate to give glutamine. But in hyperammonemia, this ammonia also reacts with alpha ketoglutarate to form more of glutamate. This depletes, depletes alpha ketoglutarate, which is an essential intermediate in citric acid cycle. Decrease in ATP and energy form. This result in decrease in energy and ATP formation and synthesis of ammonia intoxication that results into symptoms. These give symptoms of ammonia toxicity and that results into coma. This is we conclude here about the transport, formation, transport, storage, and detoxification of ammonia by the enzymes of urea cycle. Thank you.